Hey, you're listening to Mix and Mush with Dan.
And Richard.
And we're just going to go, baby. Mix and mush. That's how we started. That's how we started off, Mike. That's how we're jumping in.
I like you're setting a very reasonable expectation. This is Mix and Mush. This is us. And this is Mix and Mush, in case you had forgotten.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Look, you gotta, they say branding is all about repetition. So you mix, you mush, and then you mix and mush again. And that's what we're here to do.
Mix and Mush is very powerful. I did find it weird you turned down my submission of Frasier 2. That never got legs for some reason. And
I was thinking, Frasier 2 is good. I was also thinking the Mix and Mush experience, which we kind of threw around after your other great suggestion, the Joe Rogan experience 2, which I think
sequels are huge.
Yeah.
Sequels are huge right now. No. And I think we should really capitalize on that.
People love something familiar. And they love when that familiarity is packaged to them by a guy who looks like a thumb who's very red. So we got part of that.
He is red. Say what you will about the very subtle nod to Joe Rogan, but he's a red man.
Say what you will about him. He's red.
Say what you will. Politics, comedy, all that aside.
Yeah. He has worked at being that red, man. I think... just to give a little context, not that I think we need it, but Richard and I have been wanting to do something for a while. And so we figured we just have fun talking to each other and we go off on a million tangents anyway. So at first, this was kind of like, hey, we should do a Dragon Ball Z based podcast. And then that kind of became, well, we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves, but let's keep DBZ in there. And then it's like, well, we like all these other things. Why don't we just kind of see where things go? So I did want to kick off because I remembered, as we were kind of coming up with the name for the show, fun little tidbit is that mix does have something to do with DBZ, because that's what the Saiyans say when they make a moon, burst open and mix, like they're making porridge. So
that's very good. And I never would have known that reference. But when I was kicking around ideas for a possible Dragon Ball Z name, I was like, Dan and Rich Z, and I literally was like, that isn't anything. That's less than nothing.
It's our names with Z on it.
It's truly a nothing burger of
and yet,
bitch, and I gave up.
And yet there's something in there that makes me want to Dan and Rich Z.